Oh, hello there. Didn't see you. Now, welcome back to Division 2 Match Day 15. We had a little bit of a delay on one of the teams. It's going to be Nativz versus Rising Dawn, and one of the players from Rising Dawn had an issue. So this means they're going to lose a ban on this game as they're going to fight off versus Nativz.
Yeah. We'll see how this ends up affecting the draft in particular. I feel like, especially in the meta where there are so many powerful picks, a team outright losing a ban can actually kind of feel a bit strange. And I think, especially considering Nativz on red side, it kind of means that potentially there's more picks available than perhaps should be. So we'll track and continue to see how exactly that potentially impacts this game. As typically, right, Nativz, or not Nativz, but Rising Dawn will end up eating both the Akshan, the Karthus, and then a third ban. If there's any team in the league that would maybe go against this trend, actually, I would expect it to be Nativz, to be fair. So we'll see what actually goes through, as I'm very excited to see what ends up in the hands of our players, because this should be a very exciting matchup, regardless of how you look at it. Nativz, a little less consistent than we expect them to be, right? Still doing very well in the standings. They've just had they're coming off the back of losing to Guap, yes, but Guap, they're the Kingslayer, so that's just how it goes. But look towards the bans going as we were probably thinking they would. Akshan, Karthus, not sure we'll actually see that Camille ban come through. That one started to fall in favor of other things towards Rising Dawn, but on the opposite end, Yuumi and Seraphine taken off the board. No enchanters that Rising Dawn want to deal with.
And if you look into Nativz, they have a schedule that is interesting. If they want to get to playoffs and if they want to secure themselves really close to it, they only need this game to make sure that they're on playoffs at least. But from now on, they have to fight versus these teams of 8 and 6. So this is like a warm-up run. Thanks, Dad. This is a warm-up for them in order to get into those playoffs. They're going to fight versus the teams they will probably be fighting as soon as they go into playoffs. So let's see how they fare today. If they get this one, that would be cool. This is another shout out, even though I don't think, this is an interesting thing, because even though it's for the trouble, Katarina has been picked in a lot of screams. It's nearly, I mean, I'm good.
Huh?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
They're all gonna hover it for us, because everybody really dislikes us, so that's how it goes. But we're finally gonna get a Talia.
Oh, I have PTSD from these.
Oh no! I mean, Talia is actually a champion that's very, very prominent, very, very powerful over in the eastern regions. It's just not one that we tend to see here out in the west too much, which is definitely a very big surprise. The very least not in the LEC. I'll be lying to your faces if I say I track very adamantly the NA region as a whole. But Talia really good at shutting down Kalista, and just from the get-go now, Nativz have two strong champions to try and sort of stop and dissuade what Kalista does. You drop the Unraveled Earth on her feet, all of a sudden Kalista can't really play the game. She has to auto-attack like a regular AD carry and move alongside it. Ashe as well, same thing, auto-attack slow. Anything that really hinders Kalista from auto-attacking is really, really good. I'm not talking about hard CCs, I'm just talking about in general. If it slows her down, it's an excellent thing to try and take into her. And now, a couple of different hovers coming through. It seems like we're going to land on the Lucian here, which does kind of solidify that we are going to be having Talia in the jungle most likely, unless we get some really weird support flex, which, not necessarily too fond of. But because Rising Dawn went for the Volibear, very expected when you have the Kalista, but didn't go for the likes of an Amumu or the Renata, now we're seeing the Amumu band away. Expect to probably see that Renata or the Nautilus band away from Fine Forever as well, just because that is the combination. On Nativz side, expect them to hold on to R5 for the support role for Clocks, because simply put, Kalista lanes thrive the hardest when they also have the winning support matchup, so Lundorf is likely going to try and take the L here and just counterpick on the top side of the map. They need a frontliner as is, so look towards something like the Ornn, like the Gnar perhaps, to sort of just build up that beefy frontline that can provide them with a little more engage.
I'll pull you on a curveball. I think they're going to pick Braum on the fourth one and get the counter pick for Lundorf to make sure Vangstad is not having a good lane.
Wow. I mean, fair play, Archer. I don't like it's not an invalid path either, but to be fair, like, I would almost always expect you want to just see what you're picking into. But the thing is, maybe with the Amumu and the Renata gone, they're not confident that Fine Forever is really going to go down the line of something like Lulu or like any of the other very few enchanters that are left up and available to try and punish Braum directly one-to-one, because Kalista wants to be aggressive. And what does Braum do? Shut down a lot of those aggressive supports. So, you know what? Great dab. I'll let you have your moment. Very good call out. And this now will, of course, give Lundorf the time to think about what he wants to pick into the GP, but of course the rest of the composition here for Rising Dawn as they pick up the Gangplank. That's what I was probably maybe, if they didn't go towards a tank option, expected them to go towards, but it seems like Rakan is going to end up probably being the option. Oh, they last second swap over to Taric, which we saw, I believe it was Mad Lions do in the LEC last weekend, and it was very, very powerful, all things considered, as top lane matchup now.
This is not bad though.
It's not bad.
I know it's not gonna happen.
We know what Lundorf is likely going to end up on, and it seems like the Gragas will eventually get locked in. Very box standard draft for me from Nativz, right? I think you've got Snille on a champion which, you know, can get things done very early on. You've got Aurelion, a champion in the mid lane that can get priority of the bottom side matchup, just trying to sort of shut down what Rising Dawn have put together, and Lundorf on a non-committal engage tank. This is their bread and butter. I think I look over to Rising Dawn though, and I say, this is a little more standard to global play. This isn't actually what we normally see out of them, where they go for their own comfort picks. They go towards things for counters. This looks like an LPL or an LCK draft. So I'm really excited to see what they actually get done with it, because we've seen the strength of these champions, but we also know that these champions very quickly can fall off with the exception of Gangplank. And I think when you look at the range discrepancies, you look at some of the zoning and poke tools to shut down things like the Silas, things like the Kalista. If Nativz use their tools right, I think the mid-game onwards could be very, very painful. But for Rising Dawn, again, Kalista lane, early stages, you're expecting dives to try and come, you're expecting ganks, you're expecting setup, you're expecting aggression, and that's the key thing that we need to see out of Rising Dawn. Get Limitless ahead on the Kalista. Even though it's a tough composition to play into, you still want to play towards that win condition. And if you want to forget that, simply because it does just simply look like a very hard comp to play into, go towards Vangstead. Gangplank into GP. Gangplank can be played strong side if the matchups are, you know, strong enough for him. We'll see whether or not Rising Dawn actually decide to play into that at all, whether or not they decide to go all in towards that Kalista.
And I find it interesting, if you look into this composition, Lundorf can hold his own on the top side. So maybe we can get an early gank from Snille on the bot side with the Ashe, slowing down Kalista with the Braum, pushing Kalista away. And you know you can cut away as a Kalista while you're running away. With Snille there, that is a perfect 100% secured kill. So I think this is going to be an early engage on the bot side from Snille. It's going to be interesting. If they do shut down that Kalista, I don't know. Are we expecting something of the shady sort of build from Ashe, or can we get ourselves a proper Ashe AD carry?
No, I think it's still going to be like regular AD. That's what you asked, right? You just said, are we getting like poke Ashe or?
Yeah, are we getting a normal AD carry Ashe or something of a I poke Imperial Mandate to dying?
Don't worry about that. I expect that it will
be a full AD carry.
A full AD carry Ashe, yeah. And,
yes.
Lethal Tempo, Doran's Blade, no weird poke.
And Lethal Tempo, yeah. Lethal Tempo is more than enough, yeah. Yeah. I'm safe now. I'm happy. Okay, in terms of runes, we do get first strike on Lundorf, and even though on the lane is not going to mean a lot because Vangstead can always counter that, late game, we might see some pops, especially on Limitless.
Yeah, definitely so. We'll generate a little bit of gold for himself. We'll see how much it ends up giving him. But of course, the first strike rune, I had this conversation with Munchables the other day. And simply put, I think a lot of people still remember it like Kleptomancy, where, you know, Klepto on proc, it'll be 5 gold always, and then a random consumable. Yeah, it's not quite that good in the early game at getting you gold. If you farm it really, really efficiently, yeah, you can see yourself situations where you get as much as like 500 gold out of the early games, but it's definitely very rare. You only really tend to start to generate gold later on, but very, very nice for additional poke. But it's all about that late game where it converts and adds a lot of your damage profile to true instead. Just makes it very hard to build against you and just gives you a little bit of extra all-in potential on some of those targets you might be looking towards. So we'll see whether or not Lundorf wants to go full AP, because he's got AP jungle. And I feel like Nativz do need a frontliner more than they need another burst threat, but it is fully up to him. Of course, with Gragas getting those buffed AP ratios, never really going to turn down the opportunity to have a stronger looking Gragas.
Lundorf getting bullied out of the way. Vangstead, though, losing a lot of mana, but he gets to level 2, so maybe he can get that poke going on. Lundorf getting low yet again. Happy hour will be there for him. I mean, we are at 8 p.m. at least on our time. At least on my time. Oh, we no longer share times.
Yeah, we don't share times at the moment. We will next week, I guess.
Oh, spoiler alert.
For us. I mean, yeah, it's spoilers. I know. Whoa, I'm on the NLC broadcast. Who were the spooky guys? Like,
He's back. He's back. Get him.
Bankstead just tried really hard to hit those barrels and like missed at every single opportunity, by the way. But yes, spoiler alert, I'm back next week on the Division 1. So, you know, spooky. Part of the core team on the broadcast. I know it's very backwards for this year, but hey, it's happening finally.
Good to have you back. Good to have
Thank
you
you,
back.
man. Yeah, you know, it's always great to be back. Not quite there yet, but give it a couple of days.
On this game now, the invade, or at least the gank, is going to be the opposite of what I expected, but the lane is not in favor of Rising Dawn, so this could be an awkward angle for Fed IRL, so maybe he has to go back, allowing Snille to have a little bit of a breather on the top side, go for the Krogs. Oh, he holds it off. There's at least 5 minions, ranged minions pushing in, so if you really want to hold yourself, nah, he doesn't want to.
No,
that's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time to commit. At the end of the day, hadn't done his Krogs either, so I just sat there for a bit, decided to see whether or not your opponent Clocks would look for something. Maybe Snille comes down to the bottom side and he's there to immediately counter gank. But for now,
engage.
No. See, here's the problem with this bottom side of the map. There isn't really a go button. You know, you really do kind of have to force it quite hard. You know, Clocks jump onto a minion, flash into the Limitless's face, kind of hard. And with this wave stacking up, it seems like for now, Limitless and Fine Forever don't really want to have much to deal with that, especially because they know Snille should probably be returning back to the bottom side soon, because FireL gave them some of that information earlier on. So, I don't really want to try and force a 2v3 on a stacked wave, and they are going to try and clear away some of these minions. But Snille knows he's on the wall. They're just trying to get this dive through or try and deny Kalista some of that XP. Seems like they're just going to turn away from the idea, though. Just look for a reset instead.
First Dragon seems to be an X-Tech, if I'm not mistaken. Because, yeah, there you go. There's our boy jumping in. We are aware of features, so we know how to play with them. Rillen now, there's a Predator on his back. Talia is around the corner, but can you survive long enough for that one? Really, using the flash for flash in the mid. Jungle versus mid. So at least they take a little bit of mobility away from Rill, but it's not that big of a deal.
But now, as Denzel, you're always going to be able to trade flash to get set up onto Relay and then have Fire or collapse on top of him. So we'll see whether or not they can actually pick up a return gank and actually make it stick, pick up a kill, get a snowball going in that matchup, because already Relay is starting to build up a CS lead, and that's going to start to hurt, especially depending on the build path from this Lucian, whether or not he goes Gale Force or Essence Reaver Rush. You see a couple of different things at times. FireL, no flash, just use it in the mid lane.
And there's the culling, there's the first blood. That's going for Clocks, though, of all people.
Yeah, Clocks ends up picking that one by accident. Most likely. Could have been the Ignite tick. I think he right-clicked him, though, so I'll hold my breath and just say it's the Ignite. But still, really nice pickup. Clocks, a little bit prior from the bottom side, just roams up towards the mid lane. Bankstead.
He celebrates, but it was not time to throw in the party. The orange was there, the level as well. He has a TP, so he can go back, but he's getting bullied on the lane.
Yeah, definitely so. Down in CS a bit too. Is going to have Sheen as he comes out of base, so should have a much more healthier time actually finding a little bit of trades here as go into the replayers. Yeah, Clocks, it looks like it was just getting vision from the bottom side priority. Actually, they didn't even have priority. He just roamed off the off of the neutral wave. And did he right click him? Sorry, I think that was Ignite. Yeah, so just kind of unfortunate. And Rising Dawn, instead on the top side. What ends up happening? Out on the barrel. Gets that traded. The minion dying gives Lundorf level 6. Definitely a little bit unexpected. And just goes back to base. We'll go towards that Sheen, as we expect. Going towards Triforce. See what he can do, because he is effectively the only scaling portion of this team composition on Rising Dawn. Everything else
5 HP.
Has to go, you know, the way of Rising Dawn. And as Arsha saying, that was 5 HP that Bankstead survived on, so very fortunate to walk out of that one with his life.
Now that he has access to the tier, he won't run out of mana that easily as before, Lundorf. And also with that little poke item that deals so much damage at the beginning of the game. Obviously he's going for the harvest, Night Harvest. There you go, that's going to be a tough one to deal with, even though it's a 45-second cooldown window for that one. Every single time you get it procced on, it's going to be a menace, as it's just going to wiggle around in a map. And talking about roaming the map and just walking around, it's Nile still searching for his first good gank to put his presence. Clocks is aware of what is on the other side of the bushes, so he's like, I'm fine here, I'll move away if needed.
Yep, just stand behind me towards the off part, and on the top side, Nativz picking up this herald for free, right? Fire out, bottom side of the map right now. Can only really respond potentially with a dive, but you can see there's a really nice defensive control ward covering Nativz, giving them the information. If they have to back away, they will. And that herald goes down for free. Nothing really traded by Rising Dawn. Nativz getting a lot of small early game wins so far.
The bullying keeps going on the top side, but it doesn't matter because you're the GP, so you will farm and get to that point of money. 70-57, but there's the TP on the bot side, and instantly Tariq is going to use Cosmic Radiance to be able to take this one, and they tank it, but in the end, will Yoppa get the kill? The ward is there, the slowdown is improved as well, but the heal is just way too much in the middle of the line. Denzel approaches with the Luscian ultimate. That could be it, as Limitless is going to flash over Unravel Earth to make sure he's not knocked back. That would be a kill as well, but yet again, another pressure on the bot side, and Nativz are able to reply.
Strange Cannon Barrage there on the back end for Bagstead. But definitely, you know, a neutral tower trade, tower like dive trade like this for Nativz, I mean, we'll kind of track what gets blown in total. So obviously dive comes through onto Clocks. Really great arrow, which denies Fat Arrow the opportunity to kind of just immediately burst down Clocks, but still the rend damage is there. It leaves Fat Arrow, however, on the opposite side of the town. The reason why Fine Forever is regenning so quickly is the fact that he has Biscuits. And, you know, Biscuits, very controversial rune, but saves his life there, keeps him alive, and ends up being a 1-for-1. But again, when you're the Kalista team, you don't want 1-for-1s when you tower dive. You want clean execution with as little opportunity cost as possible. Let's say losing the flash on multiple members. And I mean, you know, I suppose they get flash out of like 3 members from Nativz. They get Lundorf's teleport. Globally, sure, they're up in some of the spells, but again, the dive doesn't feel as good. I mean, even if we swap over to the gold, like, how much gold is Kalista actually even up? It's just the kill, right? So, sure, 300 gold, 10 minutes into the game, great. But is that giving you an item right now, miles ahead of the Ashe? Absolutely no, it's not. And we know what Ashe is capable of doing in terms of shutting down the Kalista, just throwing out the volleys, making sure that she can't do her job as easily. She's not going to be able to do her job into Talia either. Just popping down the Unraveled Earth on top of her. It's just going to get really frustrating. So, Rising Dawn, whilst the game state, you know, they're only 1,000 gold down, it's going to start to feel a lot worse relatively soon. Once a couple more of these items start to come in.
They want to go for this one. Fat IRL jumps in instantly on Ashe. Ashe doesn't have any summoner spell, so instantly she dies. There's no reply whatsoever. And now Limitless is getting those kills. Now Limitless can go for the plates. This is what they need for the Kalista.
Exactly, this is the kind of play you need. Something that is just a complete positive. Not net positive, just a straight up positive. Taking that kill. I think they just about got that plate. No, they didn't, but they can turn it into a dragon at the very least. Something that they weren't able to secure the first time around as the Kalista team. It's also going to feel really, really good to, at the very least, pick it up now. Try and get a snowball rolling. Yes, it'll be 5 minutes later than you'd really want, but it's better than nothing.
Swag issues, but no mana to follow it up, or else that could be a kill. The first strike still being applied. The dragon is on as the ocean is going to bless our map. Being a little bit fresh, I would be thankful if this was an ocean drake in real life and not an inferno. As in the mid lane, it's nearly getting bursted down, and this Talia is not getting what she needs. Although the herald goes into the turret, gets a little bit of money towards Nativz. Seems like Nativz are not cruising this early game as they thought they would.
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, cruising in terms of, like, you know, they have lanes that neutralize. They're still doing okay, but Rising Dawn finding opportunities to find picks. Definitely not what they want to be giving over. I really want to just try and keep the game pace really slow. Drop the Herald in the mid lane. At the very least, gets the plates. I think they're actually going to find out Fire L here. on that control as the end of the jungle. Could be in trouble. Has ultimate, but will it be enough?
Lucian and Braum fighting together is not what he wants, so Cannon Barrage is going to slow that one down. They'll lose the culling for the Cannon Barrage, so it's a global versus a local. It's not that bad for a Rising Dawn if you want to save your jungler at least.
Yeah, saving the kill, definitely very high value. Losing the 2.5 minute ultimate global definitely feels a bit bad for it, but definitely better than giving Relay a kill in the early stages. Finished up the cult. I think he started with it, so he should have his mythic by now. Has the magical boots, so first I expect the Kraken Slayer to come out. I think maybe Gale Force could be okay too, but Kraken is of course just going to help him deal all of the extra damage that he's going to need. So Nativz starting to hit that point. One item. Actually, it looks like Yoppa's going Blade of the Ruined King too. So one item spike is going to be really, really powerful and even has the Sheen, the Lucian. So once you start to see Snille actually hit one items, Nativz could maybe feel comfortable contesting the next dragon that spawns up. Because on the opposite side, Fatarel looks like he's a little whiles away from his first item. And on the opposite side in general, I just feel like a lot of the one item spikes that Rising Dawn are picking up aren't as strong as the one item spikes that Nativz are. And that's actually very, very crucial for Nativz as the composition that we expect. I won't say flatly to outscale, but in terms of, you know, their champions really do shut down a lot of the primary objectives and functions of the Rising Dawn champions. It's going to be very hard, I feel, for Rising Dawn to play this one out if the game stays as is.
And objectives is going to be the primary target of these two teams. Obviously, Rising Dawn want to get that Ocean to just lock down the enemy team. Snille is going to block the wall. Flash is available, but that's a shot in the face. The TP is going to be casted fully, and it seems Snille won't be able to throw as many stones as he thought he had in the pockets. Lundorf now is drinking to forget what happened on that play, but it seems the bear doesn't care, and Denzel is the one taking it down. Out of a sudden, Rising Dawn keep rising versus Nativz, and it seems they got their number.
Huge pickup for Rising Dawn. Those two kills. Snille kind of just whiffs on a lot of the abilities he has to hit, and Bankstead turns it around in a 1v2. And teleport comes in. They're able to chase down Lundorf in the lane. Blows the flash. Isn't enough to escape. Now all of a sudden, things are just kind of snowballing out of control. Relay now maybe looking to cover the top side. He's getting caught out. Ash Arrow's there.
But it's not on the Kalista, Jamada. And that's the kill. What is happening in this game?
I think Nativz just maybe a little bit flustered by some of the sequence of play that just happened. Relay looked like he wanted to just go to the top side, cover it, but it's caught out, sniffed out by Limitless and Fine Forever. Now, top side play, you can see in the river, Snille is about to use the ultimate to get up behind Vankstead. Lundorf does a pretty good job of setting this play up, but the issue is Snille walks into the barrel, takes a tower shot, he's already half HP, and Vankstead just flashes on his face, auto Q, auto. Oh, I think he just dies to the burn still.
Trial by fire, yeah.
And then Denzel, with the teleport, is able to counter out on this play and eventually just comes in, takes him down with the auto attack. Pharaoh gets involved in the action. What happens? So he procs the ward. Oh, he misses the blast cone. And that's what ends up happening. So we have to come out of the replay. Clocks had to blow his flash and the ultimate to escape. And now the pressure is just snowballing so heavily in Rising Dawn's favor. Up several thousand gold, pressuring this mid lane tower. I think they need to go get that Herald. But the only thing is the Dragon's up in 30 seconds, so they probably want to prioritize that a little bit more.
They stepped on the pedal and they're not stopping. There's no slowing down of this team. Rising Dawn. If they run out of gas, I don't know what's going to happen. But IRL, the complicated matter, the Kraken Slayer could be enough to slow them down. Talking about slow, that's a Crystal Ever in the mid line and Snille throwing the stones. But here comes the Cosmic Redis yet again. The glasses are put on and the sunshine just doesn't get through. But celebrate with me. What a wombo! That is an alley-whoop, Jamada.
That was an alley-oop indeed. Lundorf sets up Snille for that kill and also takes the kill of his own, and now Nativz could go back to the track and pick that up. Well, no, see, an alley-oop can never...
I know, but I just want to give him 3 points, you know? Give him the points. Give him the stun, give him the smash down. It's not enough. That's way too tanky. Shut down, 2 kills in favor of Lundorf, and if Bankstead stays around the corner, well, the body slam was opposite of what I thought it would be, but nonetheless, that's a 4-man squad versus a single pirate. He thinks he has it in him. Well, he has it. He has the gray screen in front of him right now. Rising Dawn lost the gas.
Yeah, they did. Rising Dawn, they just get a little bit emotional, it feels like. That's the kind of roster that Rising Dawn are. They lose the fight in the mid lane, and it just seems like they don't want to give up the dragon. They focus too hard, and now Yoppa in trouble, flashes away, but look at the response immediately from Nativz.
They thought everybody was on base, Yamada. They thought everyone was there. Oh, they're just straight up giving too many kills on Nativz. We know what Nativz can do.
Oh boy, it's going from bad to worse, man. Rising Dawn really need to pull themselves together right now. Back to back to back, bad overforce play for little reason to be honest with you. Handing Nativz kills. Now fire out in the mid lane. He doesn't have. He's dead. He's dead. He is dead. Why?
Continue.
At this point, it's frustrating. Like, that's just 3 deaths, I think, for Fire just back to back to back. For very little reason, other than we felt like it. Like, that's kind of it. And now, look at the inventories for Nativz, top to bottom, right? Lundorf has that Night Harvester. All of the mythics and the components towards the second items are starting to come in. Denzel, don't do it.
Lundorf will be able to get away from this one. There's no way Denzel would get this kill. The Gragas too tanky, even though he's building full AP.
Yeah, and it just feels like desperation for Rising Dawn.
When they were the ones on the lead.
When they were the ones on the front foot, they were fine. Like, sure, the play in the mid lane goes a little bit right. You go for the dive, it gets turned around in your face. You lose 2 members, Dragon's gone. That's fine. But giving over so many kills like this, nothing short of just kind of, I don't know, just letting emotions and tilt kind of just take effect a little bit too much there. Now Nativz sit very comfortably in the lead, right? Almost 4,000 gold up. This tower could actually bring them up to that. And I'm just not really sure how they're going to expect to play the game out from this kind of deficit at 20 minutes. It's not the biggest deficit in the world, but again, their champions don't really scale well into Nativz.
Oh, almost gets out, but the flash is not going to be used on this one. Well, it is, apparently, for some reason. Lundorf lost a little bit of that drive. As fine forever is not going to be all that fine as Yoppa is going to take him down. Concussive blows are not procced on that Kalista that is going for the wit's end. Instantly, second item in. I don't get to see Nativz do these sort of mistakes. So even if they lost Lundorf, I don't see this team losing the lead they've built in. It's going to be really complicated for Rising Dawn to build up what they had. I know, but fair, it's not the usual.
We've seen Nativz throw like a 15k gold lead last month. So as far as I'm concerned, anything is technically
anything can go on this one. Okay.
Yeah. Nativz, at the very least, it looks like they're actually going to be forced away with the Cannon Barrage. So it's tier 1 stays alive for Rising Dawn. But let's talk about what Rising Dawn need to do to get back into the game. I think that's probably a little bit more.
Explain.
I think for Nativz, that's a delay. I think for Nativz, it's a little more self-explanatory, right? They kind of just need to sit here. They're about to hit all of the iron spikes, and then once they do that, they just fight at every single objective, play at range, look to burst down the targets that come into their ranges, and that's what they really have to do. They don't have to engage, they don't have to do anything else. The comp plays itself. For Rising Dawn, however, I think we've now come to a situation where the game is going to have to turn into a game of looking for picks and trying to find out, at the very least, Snille and Rillet are probably the biggest targets for me because they've got those shutdowns, the golds that can try and slingshot them back in. I think for me, though, where would you even try and start to set this one up? Because I think Nativz very much in a position where they can start to play off mid-prio and then teeter off to whichever side they want and then look to set up camp and around those objectives. So maybe when you notice Nativz do that, go set up on the opposite side. The problem is Nativz have Ashe to try and scout things out, have blue wards. It's going to be really difficult to ever try and find a pick like this. Look towards the bottom side, though. Denzel actually got pinged out. I don't think they're actually going to commit to a chase down or anything.
It's about securing vision now. They know what the next objective is. Could be the 3rd dragon, but then they have to realize there's a Kalista. There's a Baron. There's time to be worried about this. Oh, the control ward doesn't quite get That's big.
That's really unfortunate for Rising Dawn, because now they're going to potentially start... Oh my god, they're going to start the Baron on full vision without even knowing. Or maybe they just look for a pick. Either or, like, it's going to get slowed out. Cannon Barrage just got blown.
Yeah, Lundorf is in trouble, doesn't have the flash available. The barrel is not going to connect with him. Oh, he's going to turn. He's going to turn. Celebrate. Ah, that's a bad timing. That's the crit as well. Run away. Run away. TP is available.
Yeah, and Snilly actually uses the wall to block off the Baron takedown. Really is going to pick up this dragon here. Now all of a sudden it turns to a one objective on the map game. Mid lane. Okay.
Locks.
Yoppa gets picked off.
Dead. Yeah.
That could be really big, maybe.
What is happening on this
Big
game?
enough for Rising Dawn to actually start the Baron. Yeah, they're going to go for it. I mean, how big of a flip is this? Lindorf doesn't have ultimate, still has a whole bunch of damage. I think this is actually pretty takeable. They just have to make sure that they don't get bursted by too many combos here.
They're looking for Denzel to zone him out. Nearly runs away. They know they need to take away the smite. That's a massive battle. Puts Synthetic in the front line.
Lucian.
It's going to be a 1-for-1. It's a support that dies. And now the jungler as well. And really is looking for the kill Limitless. But changes targets instantly to the Pirates for the triple. And Snell is not done. He is not done. He's not. He's looking it. He has a stone. 1 second away. It's not even close.
Oh. Ah, right on the edge of the Rebel there.
You've
gotta be killing me.
Nah.
And that certainly just kind of has to be game for Rising Dawn. Native should just have this one in the bag off the back of that. And again, you know, they kind of avoided this massive AoE, like kind of from potentially like Lundorf plus Nile, but the issue is no one was killing the Lucian. Sure, I think they ended up bursting down. My brain is telling me clocks, but that's just the Braum. It doesn't really matter too much. The rest of the team fight goes Native's way. They're able to keep that Lucian alive. We'll get a replay just to get confirmation on the target. So starts off with the top side. Lindorf ends up getting a little bit greedy for the timing on this Q. He wants the most damage possible. It's definitely a little bit unfortunate. If he connects with that, he can probably chase down, but in the river, what's going on? Yoppa shoves up this mid lane wave. That wall also kind of dissuades Rising Dawn from actually going for anything, but Denzel just dashes forward. Has that Dazzle on top of him. Chain CC, Yoppa, no flash, easy target. Chase down, run down. Clocks is also forced to flash, but then this prompts the Baron to start up in the meanwhile. And it kind of just leaves everyone alive as we come back out and Limitless is already dead.
I think this is in favor of Nativz as I'm looking into this one. Concussive Blows is going to connect with 5 forever, so out of a sudden 3 members die. And Nativz with the Baron can just run across this map, go for the inhibitor, and who knows what they might take because there's a 25 Magi stacks Nile.
Yes, there is. I mean, Snille is so powerful. Double Peniums, 25 stacks Magi's. He can absolutely one-shot any of the squishy targets at the moment. Pull out a whole bunch of damage, and now this inhibitor is certainly going to fall 25 minutes in. Just feel like there's not really much Rising Dawn can do. Threw away this game with just a chain of bad decisions. And Nativz just going to go lane to lane with this Baron. Pick up these inhibitors. I mean, Rising Dawn have to just try and look for a fight, but at the end of the day, they're probably going to lose. There you go.
Ooh, so only one member is going to be golden, but for how long he's going to get shipped out? Fed IRL cannot fight this one. He has to go back as the arrow is going to be cleansed by an orange. He's going to eat his fruit, and now Denzel wants to give some fruit to the enemy. Clock so close, he steals away the barrel. He celebrates by his own, but one Nexus turret is down already. 26 minutes in, and Nativz cannot be controlled.
No, they cannot. Baron buff probably going to dissipate before they can make it back to make another play in a separate lane. Ocean Soul spawns up in 90 seconds. And now the gold lead, it's just starting to show a lot more in the inventory. As we'll get a replay of what happened. We was in one replay, missed out how the initial play started. Clocks and Snake just find the flank. She forces Limitless into the Asher, really well aimed by Yoppa. And there's just not much you can do. Fine Forever tries to go in after getting Clisteral, but Vangstead, you know, he's not really that tanky. He's got the full glass cannon build, so isn't really able to find much either himself. And it's just poor decisions, to be honest with you. Really great proactivity from Nativz to look for that pick, but it just feels like back-to-back. Fine Forever goes in trying to find something with Vangstead, who's just never really going to survive for that long. And I have to say, this game almost feels a bit frustrating from the side of Rising Dawn.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. Not
they
that
had it.
I feel like, yeah, I'm not going to say they had it, right? But I feel like they're in a position where, yeah, winning was definitely very much a possibility. And they just kind of threw it away just by going in time and time again unnecessarily. And Nativz, one of the few teams in the league that are just going to consistently punish that. I mean, hell, I think even teams like London United and Lucen would have caught throws like that. in all honesty, and now they're going for the play again in the mid lane.
Calling is so important right now, forces the flash away from Tadic as well. He doesn't have the trigger to pull in the ultimate. It's still on cooldown. So that is a big summoner out of the way. Ocean Soul is available if they want to start this one. It seems like it's going to be Yoppa, the one going solo for it for now. The Ashe is most certainly capable of dealing with that little dragon by herself, as the rest of the team is just going to zone out Rising Dawn back to their base, pushing the turtle back into this shell. It's not even the turtle will. It's just the only way to survive this right now. Rising Dawn trying to rise, but it doesn't seem like today is the day. Ooh, there's a lot of damage, by the way.
Yes, it is. I mean, the wave is cleared out, but Ocean Soul, they can just stay here forever. The minions dead, but the resistance is still gone. Nexus is open.
It's futile.
They're gonna look for a fight.
It's the last engage, the last possible ope in favor of Rising Dawn. They tried to clear away from all that damage to begin with. They have the timing. The shutdown for Limitless is there. Do they have enough damage? Yop is just fighting away Limitless. It doesn't pop the Rin. It doesn't pop it. But it seems like they will be the ones being popped as the triple kill falls on the floor. And Nativz secure themselves a position in playoffs. Meanwhile, Rising Dawn are left behind.
Silas looks really funny when he uses that armor. A really good game, though, from Nativz. Rising Dawn, just too many plays. Just forced. Just felt a little bit strange, the sequence of plays. It's really hard to break a game down like that when it's just head scratcher after head scratcher.
Yeah.
But Nativz do the correct thing. Capitalize on them, go to the objectives off the back of that. Eventually, the Ocean Soul was a little bit too much to deal with as well in the final team fight. And yes, you know, there was a 10,000 something gold lead. Very difficult game for Rising Dawn to play out. I don't think this is necessarily like inherently competitive, but man, Nativz really did prepare well. And I think that's always one thing you can say about Nativz. A lot of the time when they come into some of these more important games when it comes to securing playoffs, top end of the table teams, they will always draft, you know, try hard, shall we say. They'll always make sure that they're more than actually playing for their own win condition, shutting down the enemies. And I think that's a very unique skill that a lot of teams don't actually have. And we'll see what they can do from the position of playoffs now.
And let's talk with them as we jump into those interviews after a quick break. See you soon.